Well, it's June 1st and I'm going to do a tour of the garden. Here's one of the grafted trees I did this year. It's a strawberry pippin. I also have a bellum orange doing quite well also. This is a little swar on an EM26 rootstock and a bottle greening. Sorry about the sunlight. Here's a honeycrisp that was done last year. Putting on a lot of growth this year. It's looking good. Another honeycrisp. Two empires here. I think they're 2 years old now. Just starting to grow good this year. No blooms on any of these. There's my Flemish Beauty pear. Quite a few blooms this year. Hopefully I get some fruit. See the odd pear coming, so it's looking good. Looks like I might get my first real crop off it this year. In this garden I got a bunch of rootstocks growing. And a bunch of, sorry about the shaky hand. There's a bunch more grafted trees, an ambrosia, empire, and a bellum orange all growing there. They got to be planted out here soon. That's a borealis hassock in this garden as well. It's extra plants I've got from layering. There's another borealis. Another one. Still fairly small, but it's only their first year since I cut them off the mother plants. There's another one. And another one. And here's my older plants here. They're getting close to 5-6 feet, some of them. And there's quite a fruit set this year. I think I've got 10 plants here now. They've all been planted too close. They're kind of all just clumped together now. Lesson learned. Got to be at least 5 feet apart. And you get them from the garden center, so you never know until you've seen them grow out. If you look in here, there is quite a heavy fruit set underneath here. And it won't be long. This is always the first fruit of the year. Several weeks before strawberries even. Over here, that's my first honeycrisp tree I put in. It's now about 8 feet tall. Hopefully I'll get some fruit this year. I see a few small apples starting here. I had quite a bloom set this year. Definitely going to get a few. Here's an older Cortland apple. It's reliably given me apples every year since I put it in, but it's never got even 6 feet tall. I think it's 10 years old now. Very easy to maintain though. This garden here is my tomato garden. Doesn't look like much yet, but things are slow growing this year, seeing we've had no rain. Here's another honeycrisp tree. It's 5 or 6 years old. Also some fruit set on it this year by the looks of it. Not real heavy, but it's healthy and it's growing well. Here's a tree I cut back and grafted over this year. It was just a seedling rootstock from this big old apple tree over here. Let it grow for, I don't know, 4 years in this garden. And I'll just use this for storing my scion wood basically. I can some strawberry pippin, some swar. And they're coming. They're slow, but they are coming. You can see the little red bit there. They're all alive, but takes time. That's Roxbury russet on there. Bottle greening. Don't know if it's going to make it. It's kind of starting to go brown. Probably from the extreme heat we had last week. That didn't help anything. More strawberry pippin. It's also doing well. Mosquitoes are starting to get thick. Behind here we have my plum root stalks I've planted out. I've started putting grafts on some of them. And the grafts do seem to be taking. This is Mount Royal on here. So hopefully it takes, because I don't have a Mount Royal yet. It looks like it's going to. That'll be excellent. And I'm going to bud graft a bunch of these to Toka this year. I have a Toka plum and the kids love it. So I'll graft some more. And here's another little one down here I've grafted. It's doing very well. It's an Oriole. These are all heritage apples, or a lot of them are. A lot of people haven't even heard of them. Oh, here's another one that another plum rootstock I've grafted. And this is a green gauge, and it actually looks like it's doing very well. Wasn't grafted all that long ago. Good guy near here. We traded some scion wood this year, and it's worked out excellent for me. Hopefully he's having the same luck. Here's a nasty pest we're having a lot of trouble with this year. Caterpillars everywhere you look. I've burnt off 6 or 7 nests already. And they're still showing up on the trees randomly. Here we have goji berry. It's about 6-7 feet tall now. Got a couple different kinds apparently. This one's more of an upright tree, where the other one's just a bush. And there was some, well, there's a few blooms left there yet. If you look, you can see the purple bloom in here. I've got 3 or 4 cups of goji berries last year, and they were excellent. Much better than the dried ones you get from China. You can see there's already some fruit set on here. Looking forward to it. In behind here, I have a bunch more grafted trees. I did them all this spring. There's a Pittsburgh pineapple, Royal Gala, Honeycrisp. Not sure what this one is. Oh, Tolman Sweet. Another Pittsburgh pineapple. Don't mind the weeds. Another Honeycrisp. Another Honeycrisp. You can tell what's the favorite around our house. You can't go wrong with Honeycrisp. There's another little Royal Gala. It's coming. This here looks to be my only failure in my grafting this year. It's however, it's still not withered. It might come yet. It's very slow. Another Royal Gala. They do very well. Grow quick. There's a Tanglewine. Yeah, there's just, it's an EM26 rootstock. Another rootstock buried in here. Can't even hardly see them for all the weeds. Another one, another one, another one. Then I have my 3, you can tell it's summertime, listen to motorcycles. My 3 bud 9 trees. Rootstocks, I should say. They're doing well. Next year I'll cut them off and mound them up and make my own rootstock stool bed. Here's my Empire apple. Heavy fruit set this year by the looks of it. It's just loaded. Which is good. I put in a grape grape garden this year. I've got at least 15 grapes in here. 2 of them I bought. That's a Suffolk. It's supposed to be a seedless table grape. Whether or not it makes it with our winters, who knows. That's a Himrod. They're fairly hardy grape. They both actually died back once, but they're coming back. We had a heavy frost long after we should have. Kind of killed them back. Luckily they had strong roots and they survived. Here's some grape cuttings I've done off Concord. Some of them have leaves, some of them don't. They all did when they came out here, but a few of them dropped their leaves. They got hit by that frost. Some of them survived it quite well, and we're getting some pretty good growth as well. And there's several more down there. Over here is my meteor cherry. It looks like the kids are in luck. Gonna have lots of sour cherries for their smoothies this year. Last year was a very poor year for our cherries. We didn't hardly get any. This year looks much better. It's a very slow growing tree, but it's doing okay. There's my Stella tree. Haven't really taken a close look to see if I have fruit, but there was bloom on it this year. Not as heavy as it should have been. But just the same, there was bloom, so we'll get something. Here's a tree that's died back about 6 times. It was a Van cherry. But once again, it is coming back above the rootstock, so I might still salvage it. Who knows? This here is a Cavalier cherry. And it's got a fairly heavy fruit set on it this year as well. You can see the cherries are already pretty good size. They're not a bad sour cherry. I don't like them as much as the North Star, but it is a fairly hardy tree, and it fruits at least some every year. Now we're gonna walk over here to the other side of the yard. Planted asparagus about 5 years ago. Kind of forgot about it because it hadn't really done anything, but all of a sudden this year I got a ton of asparagus off it, which is great. This is kind of just a weed patch. It's got a couple grapevines in here and a bunch of blackberry bushes. I should really dig them up and transplant them, and just haven't had time. This tree here, it's a golden russet. We've got lots of apples on it this year. They're doing quite well. It's a heavy russeted apple, but they make excellent sauce, pies, and even not bad for fresh eating other than the skins are tough. Here we have a Spartan apple tree. As you can tell, I didn't prune this one this year. Somehow managed to forget about it. It happens. You get busy with work and busy with other trees. Fairly heavy fruit set. Here's my gardener out here helping me now.
Got my grafting knife.
Yeah, he's pretty happy. He got his own grafting knife. Came in the mail today. He helped me this spring when we grafted all the trees. Quite a helper. This here is a yellow transparent. Thought I'd lost the tree about 4 years ago. The bunnies ate it off just above the graft. But they're very hardy and it's come back, and we got a pretty good fruit set on it this year. The earliest apple I have. Another Cortland apple. Apparently also missed getting pruned this year. Pretty good fruit set. And here we go again. Another caterpillar. Like I said, they're everywhere. Try to go around every night and take them off the trees as I see them.
And I help look.
Yeah, there's another one. There's no nest in this tree of them. They've just come across the ground and up the tree. There's so many around. You can see over there, there's another nest that I have to burn out. They're probably coming from there. So this is the apple tree that was in my yard when I bought the house. It's apparently been here for quite a while. Now there's a trunk for an apple tree. I would have to guess well over 100-year-old tree. It's quite a size. We've done some serious pruning since I moved here on it. It needs it again. But it has a heavy crop of apples every single year. And they're actually quite delicious. I'm not sure what kind of apple they are. It's probably just a seed that someone planted at some time. I don't imagine it's a grafted tree, being so old. And over here to the other side of our yard, where we have a bunch of dwarf cherries. Bush cherries, some people call them.
And a bubblegum tree.
We've got a pretty good fruit set on this. They're about 4 or 5 years old. This one you can see was just loaded with bloom, and it's starting with a lot of cherries now. This one here is a Valentine, and it's the biggest one I have. Now the advantages of these cherry trees is they're a true tree. There's no rootstock, and they tend to sucker quite heavily, or some of them do. And you can dig this sucker up, and you can plant them out. And just right here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you dig that out carefully, separate it, put it in pots for a while, grow them up, and you have 5 new trees. This here is a North Star cherry. It's so 10 feet tall, doing quite well. Didn't have any cherries at all last year. Quite a fruit set this year. Sorry, this is kind of a long-winded video. It's my first one, and there's a lot to cover. I have over 40 trees in the yard, I think now. Well over 40. This is a Cupid, and it's got quite a heavy fruit set. That's a Monte Morsi cherry over there. That's a Honeycrisp apple tree up there. That's a Northern Spy apple. Another one of these bush cherries. This one's doing quite well. It's about 7 or 8 feet tall. Once again, pretty heavy fruit set, and some of them are actually starting to color a little bit. Another North Star cherry. It's also quite large. That's a Monte Morsi cherry over there. Sorry, the light's kind of going in and out at this time of day on this silly phone. This here's another one that the rabbits ate right off just above the graft, but it has come back in 2 years. And there was some bloom on it this year. I don't see any fruit set, but there was a few blooms. So by next year I should have something again. This is another one of these bush cherries that I've just planted out last winter, or fall. And it was just a sucker root, but they come true to form because they're not a grafted tree. And there's a row of plum rootstocks down there, which I'll be bud grafting later this summer. This is unfortunate here. It's my Shiro cherry. It's pretty much dead. There's one live limb left on it. But that's okay, because this live limb has new growth, and I'll be able to use it for bud grafting later this summer, and hopefully replace it with my own tree that I grew. This here was a bud graft 2 years ago. I made the mistake is I didn't cut the top part off. I should have cut it off after I put this bud in, and I didn't. So I didn't get much growth. So this year I cut it off. I tried grafting another one on top. I don't think it's going to take. But luckily we have this bud growing, and it will make a new tree. And this will be a Toka plum. This Toka plum sends shoots up all over the place from its rootstock. You can see the lawn is just littered with little seedlings coming up. These are some more that I've actually let grow, because I can bud graft these and then dig them up and replant them somewhere. This here is the Toka plum. It had heavy bloom this year. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of other plums. I don't know if they all got pollinated. It looks like the odd one might have. The Shiro did not bloom this year, which I normally count on for cross-pollination. But there should be a few. And it's quite a large tree. I took about 5 feet off it this year. If you can't reach them, there's no sense having them, because they kind of go to waste. Here's another plum. Now it is just from the root of that Toka plum. Oh, look at that. Another caterpillar. They're everywhere. Kill that. So there is actually some fruit on here. I don't imagine they'd be good at all. It's more like probably a wild plum. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to bud graft it this summer. We'll get some different varieties onto that. And that pretty much covers my yard. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long.